Hello and welcome back everyone. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Arrested Assassin's Afterthought. I don't know what's been going on recently, that a lot of the puzzles seem to be quite dark when it comes to the titles. So, I'm here trying to figure out what does the thumbnail look like, and here we've got an arrested assassin, and I don't know why if you're arrested and sitting in jail, accused of murder nonetheless, your afterthought is about Sudoku puzzles, as you can see there in that thought bubble. But that's what's happening in this thumbnail. Now, just something about this particular puzzle before I bring it up. So this is the second one that I am featuring from, I'm going to call them the Artisinal Sudoku volume. So there's a gentleman by the name of James Sinclair. He compiles like handcrafted puzzles, basically like best of, and essentially you get a pack of them and an email out on a regular basis. I've been trying to figure out how do I get in touch with that group and ask them if they'd be okay with me streaming them. So like right now I haven't been able to, so I'm really sticking to things that have been published in the public domain and available for anyone to play, as opposed to going with something that maybe isn't. If you know how I can get in touch with them and maybe get permission to go after yet another set of phenomenal puzzles, as you'll see, I think, as we play today's, I'm absolutely confident it's going to be phenomenal, similar to the other one. I'll dig it out which one it was again, and make sure that I put a link in it before. I just remember that it was absolutely a standout, lots of logic to it, lots of symmetry that's just beautiful to play. So, high expectations of today, another 90% plus rated puzzle. Let's take a look at what we have in store. So we have, as I mentioned already, Arrested Assassin's Afterthought by, I'm going to call it Luda3. Hopefully that's the way the handle is meant to be pronounced. And it's a relatively straightforward set of rules, as you can see. We have, first off, the usual one that everybody's familiar with, normal Sudoku rules. So that means place the digits 1 to 9 with no repeats in every row, every row, every row. That's clearly not a row, that's a row. Every column, and in every 3x3 box, as you can see them outlined with the thicker black lines. We also have killer cages, so the sum of the digits inside each cage is equal to the small number in the top left corner. It also confirms that digits cannot repeat within a cage. Although looking at the cages, I don't think they can repeat because of Sudoku rules. They're either always in the same row, or the same column, or the same box. So they're definitely all unique digits. Now, killer cages, for the few of you that may watch this video and haven't come across them before, well worth explaining. Essentially, take a look at this two cells in here that you can see are defined by a perimeter of dashed line. And in the top left corner, you can see a 3. So what that is meant to be saying is that these two cells that are outlined with this dashed line must sum up to 3. 2 unique digits that sum up to 3. 2 unique digits that sum up to 7. 2 unique digits that sum up to 11, and so on and so forth. We also have white crop key dots, or in this case, Luda called them consecutive dots. So digits in cells separated by a white dot are consecutive. We can see we've got a couple in here. So for example, imagine that this is a 2. This could be 1 or 3, as in it's consecutive with this 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, or 2 plus 1 is 3. That would be one way of correctly pencil marking these white crop key dots, or consecutive dots. That's all the rules we have for today. So a special thank you to Luda, and I guess the guys that are working with James Sinclair and the Artisinal Sudoku. This is from volume 95. Hopefully some of you will end up subscribing like I have after this, just to, I have after the previous puzzle, but I'm absolutely looking forward to more that's coming from these guys. Now, if you want to play along, if you want to think about what an assassin's afterthought is like, if you want to see what you can do with this puzzle, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So you can see I very deliberately didn't give an example for the killer cage. I did for the white crop kiddo, but not for the killer cages. Because if you look at 3 in 2 cells can only be done in one way. 1 and 2. No other digits can possibly work in a 3-cell cage. Sorry, in a 2-cell 3 cage. Once you place 1 and 2, 7 can only be done in one way. It's 3 and 4. Anything else will be too big. You'd be tempted to put 5 and 6 in here. It's almost like the puzzle is leading you to think that way. But I don't think we have enough information to do so. We know that this is at least a 5. It could be higher. But I can go all the way up to 9, for example. I could do 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And on the other side, I would do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that would be a valid pencil mark. I can do 5 and 6. I could do 9 and 2. So that's too many. I'm not going to pencil mark. But notice there is, like, I probably should have appreciated this a bit more before I started the puzzle. There's almost like a symmetry going on. I don't know if symmetry is the right word, because it's not even rotational symmetry. You got these cages in here, and the same set of cages in there. And it kind of continues even into box 5 in the center here. But we also have this kind of Y shape, I'm going to call it, in the other 2 corner boxes. These kind of 9 and 6 cages, and then this very funny L shape. But we've also got kind of this column as well. So there's very deliberate construction to all of this, and I'm sure the sums are meaningful if we have a moment to think about them. But just like we had in box 1, a couple of force cages, we have a bunch of force cages in here. This can only be 8 and 9. No other way of getting 17 in 2 cells. 13, now that you've placed 8 and 9, the only 2 options are 6 and 7. What about the 11 cage this time? Are we going to have the same problem? Kind of, yeah. Because I can do 5, 4, 3, 2. Not 1, though. Not 1. And not 1 in here either. Ah, but 1 was already taken. Not 1. So these 3 dots, what are they all telling us? So one option, for example, I could do like 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm left with 4 and 5 in here. But there seems like there's a lot of options, and it's just not helpful. Maybe if I think about what's going on in these cages and come back to these 2, because there's far too many options. You know, I can just go again, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then the equivalent over here would be 6, 7, 8, 9. Less than that, at least. It's only 4 options as opposed to 5 that we had over there. Was it 5? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, it was 5. But yeah, not great. Right. I'm going to have a look at these cages just to see how they help, if they even help. I'm kind of hoping by the fact that we have 1 and 2 looking at the 7, similar to here, we can do 3, 4, 5, and 6, and this could be joined with 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, I don't think I can put 3 in here, because I've got these crop key dots that are going to get me in trouble. If I put a 3, I can't have a 2, 1. I've already used them. So the option would be 3, 4, 5. And I can't do 3, 4, 5 because I need a 4 in here. So 3 is out of the picture. And therefore 4 is out of the picture from here. Now 4, again, I can't do 3, 2. The 2 is not available. I've already pencil marked them in box 1. The alternative would be 4, 5, 6, which looks like it might work, but then that would be 6, 7 to get to 13, and then I break this 6, 7. In fact, this is a quicker way of doing this. There are 2 ways of getting to 13. 3 ways of getting to 13 in this box. I could do 4, 9, 5, 8, or 6, 7. And essentially I'm going to use one of them in here, one of them in there, and then I need another set, because whichever one I'm using in here, I need another set that is essentially disappeared because I'm using one of the 4s, 5, or 6s in this set. So this is clearly very deliberate construction by Luda. Now, if I go 4, 5, 6, I've broken the puzzle because I cannot fill. Have I? No, the 6, 7 only breaks in here. So 4 is definitely off the table. Let's just put that aside for now. I could try and do 5, 4, 3. 3 is too small, can't be put in a 13 cage. That would require a 10 in here. That doesn't work. And then 5, 6, 7 definitely breaks because I've got 2 numbers that need to be together for the 13 and a 5 that's gone. How am I going to get to 13 in here? Well, forget there. I mean, like I've used a 6 and 7. I've got a 7. It needs another 6. That's broken the puzzle. So 5 is not an option either. That's 6. Now, I'm fairly sure if I go to 5, I've broken the puzzle because I can do 4, 9 in here, but I don't have 5, 8, or 6, 7 available. So this has to be 6, 7, 8, 5 in here, 4 and 9 in there, 6 is joined with a 1, and we have, finally, digits, goodness me, minute 7. 4, 9 looking at an 8 down there, that's helpful. 7 looking at a 6, 7 down here, lovely. That's now a 9. This one, I mean, let's just complete the box in here. We need a 2, 3 pair. And yes, that's finally helpful for box 9. And it may be more difficult, you know, it might not be kind of obvious when you think about it. So I want to ask the question, where is 1 in box 9? So one option is here, and by Sudoku, these 2 cells are not available. That's the other option. But if I place a 1 in here, look at this white Kropke set. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3. These 2 have broken this cell because I'm left with 0 options available. So the 1 is forced. Now I have 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, and I don't know what it is. All I know is 3 and 4 are in the middle of this. So let me kind of use it almost like a number line to show you. I need 3 consecutive digits from here. I can pick up 2, 3, 4, or I can pick up 3, 4, 5. But I have to use 3 and 4 in these white dots. And then the extreme digit, whether it's the 2 or a 5, is kind of TBD. I don't know what it is. It depends whether I'm selecting these 3 or I'm selecting these 3. So a long way of saying that this is now only 2 or 5, and therefore this is only 9 or 6. And in here, I basically have 3 and 4 for sure. The 4, 9 tells me the 4 is in one of these 2. And it feels like that's the end of the conclusions, because I don't know if it's 3, 4, 5 or 2, 3, 4, nor the order that they're in. So this is probably as far as I can take it at the moment. 1 and 4 pointing at a 6 cage. So 1 here tells me that 1, 5 is a possibility. And actually 4 is not an option, because in a 6 cage, the only 2 options are 1, 5 and 2, 4. Well, 4 is no longer an option. We've basically eliminated it from these two columns in this box. So the only way this works is indeed 1 and 5. And is that forcing anything? Absolutely. I mean, that 5 was forcing this anyway. Goodness. But now that tells us the order. That's 5, that's 4, that's 3, that's 2, that's 3. And we have almost the entirety of the right-hand side done. The 2 gives me the 9 in here. May as well just finish these. At least let me just pencil mark them. For I need 7 and 8 in this. I need 2 and 3 in here. And it looks like I need 4, 6, and 9 in there. 4, 6, and 9. Beautiful. Now, do we have something similar going on this side? It just feels so far removed. But maybe. Maybe. So 6 and 7 are looking at this cell in the 15 cage, meaning these are from 8 and 9. So 15 in 2 cells can only be done as 7, 8 or 6, 9. So 6 and 7 are not available here. It's 8 and 9. They would be paired up with a 6, 7 pair. Doesn't seem to help me in here necessarily. I clearly need to come back to that white Kropke set because it'll probably force a few decisions, but I just want to populate the options and see what that means. So the 6-1 cage was helpful. The difference here is I don't have the same set of white dots either on this row or this row to actually restrict these cages. So they may not be as helpful up here as these were down there. And yeah, you can see it here. So, 9 Sudoku, so these are not 9. Can't put a 9 in an 8 cage. I can't partner it with a -1. One of these is 9, and both work. I could do 9, 6 or 9, 1. Kind of tempted to think about this whole row, see if I can restrict the 10 cage. It just feels like I'm clutching at straws here, and I'm maybe better off just taking a look at that instead. So I placed 1, 2, 3, and 4. I need, from this number line, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So quite a few options here. 3 consecutive digits. And the only one that is consecutive in all of these, as you can see, is the 7. The only one that has to be there, regardless of which 3 I pick, is the 7. So in here is a 7. 7 is not here, 7 is not there. So if I think about the options for a moment, so I had 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 7 is gone. I can't... So there's like a few restrictions. For example, I can't make that 9 because the next one would be 8. It will break this cell. I can't make this 6 because the next one would have to be 7. I'll break this cell. So actually this cell is much more restricted than it may seem. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I just said 6 breaks it because I can't do 6, 5, 4. I've already placed the 4. I can only go up 6, 7, and 8, which breaks this cell. So this can't be 6. If this is 7, I can't do 7, 6, 5. Again, breaks this cell. I could do 7, 8, 9, and then that would be 6, 9. So 7 is truly a viable candidate. The other viable candidate would be 8, as in 8, 7, 6. And again, that would force this to be 6, 9. And then the last option, which was a 9, goes 9, 8, 7, but 9 and 8 break this cell. So this, being 7, 8, forces this to be 6, 9. And that's not 9. The fact that this is a 6, I'm tempted to say, so I can no longer do 7, 6, 5. I mean, I was never able to. So essentially, this is either 7, 8, 9. I'm going to just remove the corner pencil marks just so I can make sure I've got this right. So 7, 8, 9 is one option. And then the other option is 8, 7, 6. So 7 and 8 are out of here. There is a 6, 9 that might go with, yeah, it's tough. I guess there's a 5, 6, 9 triplet, but actually this is only restricted to 5 and 9. And one of these has to be 6. 9 can't be here because 2 is not available, so that's a 5, 6, meaning that's a 5, 6. 5, 6, taking a look at this, this has to be 9. Where would I place 6 now in box 1? This has to be the 6, this has to be the 5, this has to be the 9. Excuse me, the 5. 9, 8, 7 now. That's the only way the white crop key dots would work. 9, 8, 7. 9 is looking at 4, 9. And we can basically finish now box 2, at least pencil marking wise. So to finish this, we need 1, 7, I'm going to say. To finish this, it's 2, 6, 8. And to finish this, it is 3, 4, 9, except that's not a 9. I probably should come back to these in a second, but just because I've just pencil marked it, I should delete this number line, otherwise I'll confuse myself. The 18 cage. So if this is 1, that would be 17. That's possible with 8 and 9. If this is 7, this will be 11. That could be 8, 3. That could be 2, 9. I think I'm not using the 6 though in any of these examples. If this is a 6, I need 12. Can't do 1 and 11. And I can't do 7 and 5. So 6 is out. That's the only optimization I can do at this point. So clearly not what I'm meant to be next. 10 cage. Well, we only have the 6. 8 cage. Only have the 9. Yeah, this is not helpful. 15 cage. I don't know. I'll take a look what's going on in here, I think, and then look again elsewhere, it seems. Yeah, I think whenever I'm solving later in the evening, I tend to be a bit slower. I'm already at 18 minutes and I'm just like struggling through this. It doesn't seem like it should be that difficult. So 8 cage, let's just think about options. So is 1, 7 an option? Yes, it is. I can do 1, 7 in this order. 2, 6 is not an option. 3, 5, seemingly an option. 3, 5. And that's all the options I have. 10, can't do 1, 9. Seemingly I can do 2 and 8. 3, 7 is not an option because they both see this cell. And 4, 6 is not an option. So actually, unintuitively, the 10 cage is done. Not that it seems to help me in the slightest. It's a bunch of digits that I've just placed, but they don't really seem to help in anything. The irony. Right, what do we have in here? So I need to finish this row 1, 3, 7. Okay. Can I do any wizardry with the 12th cage? Maybe, maybe not. It feels like I have something in here. I have a 4 for sure in there. That's kind of it, really. So if this is 1, 7, that would be 3. If this is 5, 3, that would be 1, 7. No 1. So 5, 3, that would be 1, and this would be 4, 7. So one option is this is 4, 7. In fact, more specifically with this 7, that would be a 7. That would be a 4. That's one option. The other option is if I place 1 and 7, that would be 3. And then I need 4 and 5. This 5 tells me that's the 5, that's the 4. So they're surprisingly restricted in box 7, but not enough to actually place any digits. 12 cage, if I use a 1, I need an 11. 9-2 not available. 3-8 seemingly available. Seemingly, because there is clearly a bit of play up here that we'll need to think about. 4-7 seemingly available, kind of in this order. And what else do I have? 4-7, 5-6. Yeah, seemingly available. And this is just on the 1. I'm not sure I'm going to keep going. This is ludicrous. With the 3, I have 9 as an option. 1-8 is not available. 2-7 is not available. 3-6 is not available. But 4-5 is. And they can go anywhere. And then the 7 leaves me with a 5. I could do, 1-4 only. 2-3 is not available. But a long way of saying there are tons of options. I'm not going to go through them all. I know I just went through them all, but I'm not going to write them all down. Maybe it's time to think about the 15 cage. Maybe. I think in general, maybe it is time to think about the 5 cage. But one last thing, I'll take a look at the 9 cage. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So this can only be 2, 3, or 4, because I also can't be a 1. So it's actually really restricted. The 2 would go with a 7. The 3 would go with a 6. The 4, not an option because 5 is not available. So from all the options that we have for the 9 cage, it is actually very restricted. Very restricted, but again, not enough to place any digits. Right, we're left with nothing except box 5 at this point. Even if our friend Sudoku isn't helpful. Maybe not helpful, but I'm actually going to maybe start with Sudoku. I'm going to ask the question in box 5. Where does 9 go? So this 9 is actually doing quite a bit of work. It's not in here. It's not in the 8 cage. Because again, I can't partner it with a -1. It could go in the 15 cage with 6 and 9. Now, seemingly, it could go in the 15 cage, but I don't think that's true. If I place a 9 in here, I need to have, I'm left with a remainder of 6 in 3 cells. This can only be 1, 2, and 3. Now observe if I try and do this. This one tells me it's not these 3 cells. This is the what? Somewhere in here is a 9. I just pick at random, it's this one. And then I have 2, 3. What happens to this cell now? So 9 is actually not in the 15 cage, not in the 8 cage, not in this cell. It is a 6-9 pair. Goodness, and that was hard work. And then we've got this 5 above it. That means this is 9-8 or 6-7. I'll come back to that because that's quite a high digit to place in 15. 6-9, looking at this 4. Did I say I'll come back to it? I'm back. 15 cage. 7 or 8 means we have another 7 or 8 to place between 3 cells. Now, if you try this yourself, they all need a 1. Because for a 7, it's forced to be 1, 2, 4. If it's an 8, I could do 1, 2, 5, which actually I can't. Or I could do 1, 3, 4. So I definitely have a 1 in here. And it's either 2, 4 or 3, 4, depending on whether this is 7 or 8. Now the 2, 4 in here might actually be very helpful in 3, 4 with the 8 cage and these white dots. Because I think 3, 4 is too close. Because the best I can make the 8 would be Come on, Sleuth, think this out loud. I'm thinking that it needs to be the same parity digits for me to find 2 digits of the same parity, whether they're odds or even, to get to 8. So I don't think 3, 4 works regardless of how you try and do it, because the 3, I could make it 2 or 4. The 4, I could make it 5 or 3. Now, 3 plus 2, 3 plus 4, 5 plus 2, 5 plus 4, all of the options are available with a 3, 4 will end up being odd. It doesn't work. So that's not 3. That has to be 2, 4. These are 7. Therefore, this is 8. That's a 9. That's a 6. That's 2 and 4. This has to be now 3 and 5. I'm adding 1 to get to 8 for each of those. 2 and 4 are looking in here. That's a 3. That's a 6. That was a lot of work for not a lot of progress. 7, 1, 7. I need 11 in here. I can still do 8, 3, and 2, 9. I don't need a 4 in here. This 9, that's not a 9. Therefore, this is the 9. This is the 2 to get to 11 with the 7. These are not 2. That's a 6, 8 pair. This 8 tells me this is a 6. This is an 8. So it's looking good. And this 2 gives me the 4, the 2, the 3, the 5, not 3, not 7 either. That's a 1. And these are 11, whatever these are. 3 and 8. This 3 and 8 gives me the order. That's 8. That's 3. This is now a 7. This is a 3. Therefore, that's a 7. That's a 1. That's a 4. That's a 5. I think we pretty much solved it now. Just on the home stretch. This 3 does a lot of work. That's a 4. That's a 3. That's a 2. That's a 3. That 6 was doing work for us again with a 9 and the 6. This 7 gives us the 8 and the 7, the 8 and this 8. Yep, I can type. This 3 gives me the 4, the 3. This 1 gives me the 2, the 1. We're basically done with all the clues. It's just Sudoku now. Right, 1, I need a 2. Can only be in here. 3, I need a 4, 4, 4. This is 5. This is 6. In this cage, I need 1s, can only be in here. I need 2s, can only be in there. 3, 4s is only in here. 5s, 6, 7, and then 8. And then if I've not made any mistakes, 9 and the solution to today's puzzle. 28 minutes exactly. I mean, I think it was an easier puzzle than I made it seem. So maybe I just missed a bit of logic. Luda, I hope if you do see the video, you'll point that out. Or I'm sure many of you guys will point it out in the comments. You know, these cages were fairly obvious places to start. The interplay between these cages, the white crop key dots, and then the fall back into here was ingenious. And yeah, it couldn't have been repeated in here because we didn't have the same white crop key dots, giving us the 1, 5. Giving us, I mean, yeah, the 6, 9, kind of 7, 8, 9 play here was fairly complicated. I don't see a way around it. That was just the only way of doing it. And then that restricted the 2, 3 cage. That gave us the 9 in here once we kind of understood the options in the 18 cage. And then it sort of collapsed from there on. So phenomenal construction, Luda. Certainly worthy of putting into a puzzle pack and emailing it around. I hope that you guys are doing very well there and succeeding. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. And as always, looking forward to your comments and feedback. Bye for now.